You're watching Weirdly History, where the facts are real, but your sanity might not survive. If you like history that's strange, suspiciously specific, and borderline ridiculous, you're in the right place. Hit that like button like it owes you money, subscribe like your ancestors are watching, and let's dive into the past with Weirdly History right now, a hilarious journey through medieval medicine. Yo, what's good, fam? Grab your favorite energy drink, silence those notifications, and let's yeet ourselves back to the Middle Ages for a wild ride through the absolute chaos of medieval medicine. Picture a world where healthcare means leeches, prayers, and potions that taste like regret. If you think your last doctor's visit was a vibe check from hell, wait till you see what these folks were dealing with. This is gonna be a long, hilarious haul, so smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment with the weirdest health hack you've ever heard of. Ready to time travel to a time when a sneeze could send you to the afterlife? Let's dive in. Act 1, the bloodletting bonanza. Alright, it's 1347, and you've just been teleported to a muddy village in medieval England. The air hits you like a truck. Imagine a mix of wet hay, unwashed armpits, and a dumpster that's been vibing since last Tuesday. You're stuck in a scratchy wool tunic that feels like wearing a Brillo pad, and your shoes are basically soggy leather socks with zero cushioning. The locals are side-eyeing you because you've got clean fingernails, a dead giveaway you're not from around here. Hygiene? Yeah, that's as futuristic as a hoverboard. You're starving, so you snag a bowl of stew from a street vendor, but it's got chunks of something that could be carrot or a lost sock. One bite, and your stomach's already filing for divorce. Then, *ACHOO, you sneeze. Big oops. In 2025, you'd pop a Claritin and binge Netflix. Here? That sneeze is your one-way ticket to the medieval medical circus. Enter Robert, the barber-surgeon, who's got a beard like a hedgehog with a grudge and a grin that screams, "I've made terrible decisions." His shop is a horror movie set, damp wood, flickering candles, and a bucket of leeches that look way too eager to meet you. The walls are splattered with stains you don't want to identify, and the air smells like iron, mold, and existential dread. Robert takes one look at you and declares, "Too much blood, mate." Your humors are throwing a tantrum. You're like, "Bruh, it's just allergies," but he's already sharpening a knife that looks like it's been used to carve pumpkins and fend off wolves. Let's talk medieval medicine 101. They believed in the four humors: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. If these got out of whack, you get sick. Sounds legit, right? Except their fix was like trying to debug your iPhone by dunking it in soup. Bloodletting was the cure-all, like how we chug Gatorade for a hangover. Got a fever? Slice a vein. Headache? Leech party. Bad day? You're basically a human juice box now. Robert straps you to a chair that's stickier than a movie theater floor, and the knife comes out. You're sweating buckets, thinking, "This is how I go out?" Bleeding next to a guy who also shaves armpits for a living? The first cut burns like a wasp sting from hell, and blood spurts like you're in a low-budget slasher flick. Robert's humming a tune, tossing leeches on your arm like they're sprinkles on a donut. "Balance the humors, lad," he chirps. You're dizzy, pale, and wondering if you can sue for malpractice in 1347. The wildest part? Bloodletting was universal. Kings got it, peasants got it, even babies got tiny leech spa days. They thought draining you would fix everything from the plague to a bad Tinder date. Imagine calling out sick because you're overblooded. And those leeches? They were the rock stars of medicine, reused, rinsed, and ready to suck again. By the time Robert's done, you're woozy, your arm's a leech buffet, and you're praying for a time machine. But hold tight. This is just the warm-up. Act 2, the enema extravaganza. You survived Robert's vampire cosplay, barely, but that sketchy stew's got your stomach staging a full-on rebellion. You're doubled over, clutching your gut, when Patricia, the village-wise woman, swoops in. She's got a twinkle in her eye, a vibe like your quirky aunt who's way too into kombucha, and a tube that looks like it belongs in a medieval Home Depot. We'll flush out the bad humors, she declares, holding up a concoction of herbs, wine, and, yep, pig fat. Welcome to the medieval enema, the original cleanse that makes a juice detox look like a Caribbean cruise. Patricia drags you to her hut, which smells like a mix of lavender, mildew, and a petting zoo after a rainstorm. The floor is covered in straw that crunches like stale cereal, and there's a cauldron bubbling with what looks like swamp water but Patricia swears is healing nettles. The enema tube is the size of a garden hose, and you're lying on a mat that's itchier than a cheap Halloween costume. Think of it as a spring cleaning for your insides. Patricia says, way too chipper. You're thinking, lady, my insides are fine, but she's already chanting a hymn and aiming that tube like it's a medieval super soaker. The treatment hits like a tsunami in a bad disaster movie. You're clenching your fists, staring at a cobwebby ceiling, and wondering if you can claim this as trauma on your taxes. Patricia is unfazed, comparing it to unclogging a castle drain. You're like, my drain's not the problem. But there's no escape. The potion floods in, and it feels like your insides are hosting a rave with no exit. When it's over, you're shaky, sweaty, and swearing off stew for life. Here's the tea, enemas were the Swiss Army knife of medieval cures. Sore throat? Enema. Heartbreak? Enema. Rich folks even got gold-infused enemas because nothing says I'm fancy like a literal golden flush. Compare that to today's $15 green smoothies, and you'll thank your lucky stars for indoor plumbing. Patricia pats your shoulder, hands you a cup of soothing tea that tastes like boiled lawn clippings, and sends you on your way. You're wobbling, your dignity's in the mud, and you're pretty sure your stomach's writing a diss track about you. Act 3, prayers, charms, and demon drama. You're still kicking, props to you, but now you've got a cough that sounds like a dying accordion. The village priest, Father William, catches wind of it and storms in, clutching across the size of a Grammy Award. He's got a voice like he's narrating a true crime podcast and eyes that scream, I've seen demons, and they're not impressed. Satan's in your lungs, child, he booms, waving incense that smells like a Bath and Body Works candle gone rogue. In the Middle Ages, sickness was often blamed on God's wrath or the devil's group chat, so prayer was the ultimate prescription. William's church is a stone fortress that smells like wax, damp moss, and desperation. The pews are harder than a Walmart bench, and there's a creepy statue of a saint staring at you like it knows your browser history. William hands you a holy charm, a grimy scrap of parchment with scribbles that look like a toddler's attempt at a treasure map. Wear this, and the demons will eat themselves out, he says. You're skeptical but tie it around your neck because, honestly, it's less invasive than Patricia's tube. The charm smells like old cheese and feels like it's giving you a rash, but you're not about to argue with a guy who's got a direct line to God. Then William drops the bomb. You need to pilgrimage to a shrine 3 weeks away to purge the evil. You're like, bro, I'm coughing, not training for Survivor. But he's insistent, so you join a ragtag crew of pilgrims trudging through mud, dodging sheep, and singing hymns that sound like medieval karaoke. The road's a nightmare, think Coachella with no porta potties and more dysentery. You're hacking up along, your charms disintegrating, and you're wondering if demons are just allergies with better PR. Fun fact, people believe touching a king's hand could cure stuff like scrofula, a nasty neck swelling. Imagine waiting in line like it's a Black Friday sale, just to high-five a royal. And relics? They were the ultimate flex. Bones, hair, even Virgin Mary's milk, probably just sketchy water, were sold like overpriced merch at a concert. Pilgrims dropped serious coin to pray near these, hoping for a miracle. It's like buying a $200 crystal because it radiates vibes. By the time you reach the shrine, you're exhausted, your cough's worse, and you're pretty sure William's charm is just a medieval scam. Act 4, surgery, or how to yeet your chances of survival. Your cough's now a full-on wheeze, and there's a lump on your arm the size of a ping-pong ball. Robert's back, and this time he's wielding a saw that looks like it's from a Viking yard sale. Medieval surgery was like playing operation with a chainsaw and no batteries. No anesthesia, no hand washing, just a 90% chance of waking up in the afterlife. Robert's shop is now a full-on circus. There's a crowd munching bread, placing bets on whether you'll survive, like it's medieval DraftKings. Robert's like, we'll pop that lump out, no sweat. You're sweating buckets as he chugs ale for steady hands. The operating table is a wooden bench with stains that could narrate a true crime series. The crowd's buzzing, some kids selling turnips like they're popcorn, and you're wondering if you can opt for leeches instead. Robert starts cutting, and it feels like someone's using a cheese grater on your soul. You're screaming internally, the crowd's cheering, and Robert's muttering about evil humors like he's debugging a cursed laptop. Here's the kicker: surgeons were so low status they moonlighted as barbers. Imagine getting a fade and an amputation in one visit. If you survived the knife, infection was waiting like a final boss. They didn't know germs existed, so tools were cleaned about as often as a frat house kitchen. It's like trusting a TikTok life hack for brain surgery. By some miracle, you survive, but your arm's throbbing, the lump's gone, and you're pretty sure Robert's saw is haunting your nightmares. Act 5. The poison potion party. You're still staggering around this muddy 1347 village, looking like you just escaped a haunted house. Your arm's throbbing from Robert's surgery, your cough staging a comeback, and you're pretty sure that enema rearranged your soul. Just when you think it can't get worse, Patricia, the wise woman with a vibe like a medieval Gwyneth Paltrow, drags you back to her hut. I've got just the thing, she says, her eyes glinting like she's about to sell you an overpriced wellness retreat. Spoiler, it's not a yoga class, it's a potion, and it's got mercury in it. Her hut is a sensory overload. Think a mix of burnt herbs, sour wine, and a whiff of what died in here. The walls are lined with jars of stuff that looks like it was raided from a witch's Etsy shop: dried roots, beetle shells, and a suspicious lump Patricia claims is unicorn horn, but you're pretty sure is just moldy chalk. She's stirring a cauldron that's bubbling like a hot tub from hell, tossing in moss, a dead cricket, and a glug of shiny, silver liquid. Mercury's the good stuff, she says, like she's hyping up a new Starbucks drink. You're like, lady, that's literal poison, but Patricia is already pouring it into a cup that looks like it's never been washed. In the Middle Ages, toxic stuff like mercury and lead was the VIP of medicine. They thought it could purge bad humors, like how we think a $12 smoothie resets our vibes. Mercury was used for everything: skin rashes, fevers, even love sickness. Yep, they tried to poison heartbreak. The catch? It made you shake like a malfunctioning Roomba, lose your teeth, and feel like you're auditioning for The Walking Dead. But medieval folks were all in, like us, chugging energy drinks despite the warning labels. You stare at the potion, which smells like a gas station bathroom and glitters like a cursed disco ball. Drink up. Patricia chirps, handing you the cup. You're thinking, this is how I become a Marvel villain, but she's watching you like a hawk, so you take a sip. It tastes like licking a battery mixed with regret. Your stomach lurches, your vision blurs, and you're pretty sure your tongue just filed for unemployment. Cleansing the bile, Patricia says, as you clutch the wall and pray for Wi-Fi to Google mercury poisoning. The crowd outside, because yes, there's always a crowd in this village, is buzzing like it's a medieval reality show. Some kids betting you'll glow from the mercury, while an old lady swears it cured her gout. You're not glowing, you're sweating, shaking, and wondering if you can sue Patricia for emotional damages. By some miracle, you don't keel over, but your cough's still there, and now you've got a metallic taste in your mouth that's gonna haunt you forever. Patricia pats your back, hands you a soothing tea that tastes like boiled socks, and sends you on your way. You're wobbling, your dignity's in a ditch, and you're swearing off potions for life. Act 6, starstruck and celestial shenanigans. You're still alive, iconic, but your fever's spiking, and you're sweating like you just ran a marathon in a snowsuit. The village astrologer, Emily, swoops in, rocking a starry cloak that screams, I sell horoscopes on Etsy. She's got a vibe like a medieval astrology TikToker, complete with a scroll that looks like a cosmic spreadsheet. Your sickness is Mars' fault, she declares, squinting at a chart that's basically a medieval PowerPoint slide. You're like, Mars? The planet or the candy bar, but she's already muttering about retrogrades and bad alignments. Emily's tent is a fever dream, think twinkling lanterns, a ceiling painted with constellations, and a smell like incense and burnt parchment. There's a creepy astrolabe spinning in the corner, and you're pretty sure it's judging you. In the Middle Ages, people believed the stars and planets controlled your health. Born under Venus? You're prone to heartbreak. Saturn in retrograde? Say hello to gout. Emily insists your fever's because Jupiter's cranky, and your treatment must align with the cosmos. No medicine till the moon's in Scorpio, she says. You're like, can't I just take an Advil? But she's burning sage and chanting like she's summoning an alien. She hands you a star-lined amulet, a chunk of rock tied to a string that smells like it was dug up from a cow pasture. Wear this to appease Mercury, she says. You're thinking, I just drank Mercury, and now I'm appeasing it. But you slap it on because arguing with Emily feels like debating a flat earther. Then she suggests a ritual. You have to stand in a field at midnight, spin 3 times, and shout "Begone, fever," to the stars. You're like, this is just medieval Zumba, but you trudge out there, spinning under a sky that's annoyingly beautiful, yelling like you're auditioning for a community theater play. The kicker? Astrology wasn't just for quacks, it was legit science back then. Doctors checked star charts before prescribing anything, like how we check WebMD before panicking. Emily's ritual does zilch for your fever, but you're dizzy from spinning, and the village kids are laughing like you're their new favorite meme. You stumble back to Emily, who's now reading your health horoscope and muttering about Pluto. You're like, Pluto's not even a planet anymore, but she just hands you another amulet and tells you to come back when Venus is less moody. You're sweating, your fever's raging, and you're pretty sure the stars are just trolling you. Act 7, yeeting your sickness to the void. Your fever's now a full-on inferno, and you're starting to think this village is cursed. Just when you're ready to give up, a new face appears, Old Meg, a hunched-over granny with a cackle like a Halloween sound effect and eyes that say, I've seen some stuff. She's the village's go-to for alternative cures, and her big idea? Transferring your sickness to something else. Yep, you're about to yeet your fever onto a rock, a chicken, or, knowing this village, maybe a random turnip. Meg's shack is a hoarder's paradise, piles of bones, feathers, and jars of goop that look like rejected smoothie recipes. The air smells like dirt, sage, and a hint of this place is definitely haunted. Meg hands you a smooth river stone and says, rub your fever into this, then chuck it in the river. You're like, what is this, medieval The Secret, but she's dead serious, muttering about passing the sickness to the earth. You rub the stone on your sweaty forehead, feeling like you're in a low-budget fantasy flick, and whisper, take my fever, bro. Then you yeet it into the river with all the drama of an Olympic shot putter, but Meg's not done. She ties a rag to your wrist, sprinkles it with what smells like fermented cabbage, and tells you to tie it to a chicken and set it loose. The sickness will flee with the fowl, she cackles. You're picturing this chicken sprinting through the village, carrying your fever like it's on a mission. You find a scrappy hen, tie the rag to its leg, and release it, watching it flap off like it's late for a Zoom meeting. The villagers cheer like you just won American Idol, but your fever's still there, and now you're worried the chicken's coming back for revenge. This disease transfer was peak medieval logic. People buried sick objects, tossed them in rivers, or set animals running, hoping the illness would hitch a ride. It's like writing your ex's name on a post-it and burning it to let go. Cute, but your fever's laughing at you, and Meg's already suggesting you try a toad next. You're exhausted, sweaty, and pretty sure this village is just pranking you now. Act 8, the grand finale, and a slice of reflection. You re a walking disaster, covered in leech bites, reeking of mercury, dizzy from starlit spinning, and still feverish despite yeeting your sickness to half the village's livestock. You collapse in the mud, staring at the starry 1347 sky, and somehow, you're zapped back to 2025. You're back in your cozy apartment, smelling like a medieval landfill, with a cough that's now just a tickle. But you've got stories that could fill a Netflix special. But let's recap the chaos. Robert drained you like a vampire. Patricia gave you an enema that deserves its own horror movie. William blamed demons. And Robert saw nearly sent you to Narnia. Then Patricia fed you poison, Emily made you yell at the stars, and Meg had you playing sickness hot potato with a chicken. Medieval medicine was a fever dream of faith, desperation, and let's try this and see what happens. These folks weren't dumb, they were surviving in a world where a splinter could be a death sentence. They mixed herbs, prayed hard, and occasionally threw in some mercury for the plot twist. You gotta respect the grind. What's the takeaway? Humans are stubborn as heck, always finding ways to keep going, even when the cure's worse than the disease. It's like how we still buy $50 face masks that detox nothing or chug celery juice because an influencer said so. Maybe the real cure is our ability to laugh at the chaos and keep moving forward. Or maybe it's just antibiotics.so. What's the wildest cure you've ever heard of? Drop it in the comments, and let's keep this medieval madness going. Smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next time travel banger.